What's good, Buffs Nation? We've got a fun one for you today. We've got Phillip Dukes from over at On3, host of the 5-Star Flex. He spent some time at Colorado during the Cincinnati game, so he got to see firsthand the experience there at Folsom Field. So he's going to tell you a little bit about that. He's going to tell you a little bit about how things are working there at Colorado. So let's dive into that here on the Prime Time for College Football. We're chopping it up with my guy, Dukes. Phillip Dukes over there at On3, the host of the 5-Star Flex. Dukes, man, what's good, man? How you living?
Man, I'm good, man. Blessed, man. Thank God.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, so you got to go to Colorado for the Cincinnati game. So I wanted to bring you on so the people can hear about you got a whole video over there at 5-Star Flex. Go check that out on the On3 channel. I'll make sure the link's in the description below for that video so y'all can pull up and see the entire experience. But get a people sneak preview, man. How was it going to that Colorado Cincinnati game?
Man, it was. I would say my expectations were high already, and the actual visit blew my expectations out of the water. But most importantly was the people. I thought that the people of Colorado were so welcoming, friendly. I was getting offered plates, and this is before people knew that I was working for On3. Like, guys, were literally just happy to be at the Colorado game. There's a sense of optimism out there. People are behind the Buffaloes. They're behind Coach Prime. They know it's a special time in college football, and it's happening in Boulder. So as soon as I got to the airport, you could just feel the energy. So I think that even more so than the game experience, it's the surrounding experience, and it's the fans up there that are rabid for a championship. And I think that they're starting to build the foundation for a championship for championship football in Boulder.
That's what I'm talking about. And just watching some of the film and the footage, man, it looked like it was just fire. It was a fire experience. It was rocking and all of that. And so looking at it, Folsom Field's about 50,000 fans. It's me and you from SEC country. We're in the South area, right? So we're used to massive stadiums, but this one's at 50. Talk to me. How, was it rocking? Was it as loud as you would hear everywhere else, especially in SEC country?
It just depends. I think just from sheer numbers, you're not going to get some of the volume or some of the decibels just out of numbers. But for impact, it's the same, dog. Like every big play, if I had to step away, you could hear it. Like I knew something would happen because the crowd would go crazy. Even when it wasn't a big play and it may have been a big third down, the crowd made them. I judge stadiums by how much of an impact does the crowd have and do they make themselves known. And I think the way that stadium is set up, especially in the end zones, where it's almost like the wall that they have that the Clippers just built, where it's like the fans go straight up, where it's like they're right on you. And I think that makes a difference. And then you can also think about the home field advantage of playing in that high altitude all of the time, where we always talk about it in baseball with the Rockies, everything, but the altitude up there, where these guys are used to it. The home team does have an advantage there. So I think that plus being mixed with how the crowd just sits on you in Folsom, I think Folsom has a really good home field advantage. And I was actually surprised, but I did see in points of that game where you started to see Colorado look like they were going to let Cincinnati back in the game, and the Folsom Crazies became the 12th man.
The Folsom Crazies, I like that. That's a good name for them. And it felt like in that game, in watching it on television, you could feel it on TV that these fans were engaged as much as they could. And in that game, the Cincinnati ended up with 9 penalties for 69 yards. So it looks like there was some sort of an impact as far as the penalties go. They were forcing Cincinnati out of plays, and they couldn't really hear much of it. A lot of miscommunication going on. But you're right. At one point, Cincinnati started to drive. I'm guessing the crowd turned everything up a notch. At least on TV, it felt like they did. When it
that's accurate, bro. It's very accurate.
Yeah. See, and that's what you want. That's how you want to build something. So I got to ask you this, though. I made a video on this the other day, but I gotta ask you. Your boy Stephen A. Smith has some stuff to say, right? Love Stephen A. He's polarizing. But why this man got to say that Coach Prime need to be at Florida State, that he need to be at Alabama, that he need to be at, whatever school, Why is there no appreciation for these people at Colorado and what Prime is doing there?
I think that's more of a finger point to those establishments that did not give Prime a chance. And now it's like, oh, you could have had this, but now he's at Colorado, and really it's your fault. You should have gave him a shot earlier. And I think that's all he's saying in a different way. And that's what I'm taking from it, because one thing about it, nobody can force Prime to do anything that Prime don't want to do. And we all know that. So at the end of the day, like, if he decides Colorado is the spot for him, Stephen A. Smith, Barack Obama, don't matter. Ain't nobody gonna make that man move, bro. Like, so at the end of the day, I think it's I think he's trying to give a nod to what Deion is doing, but by saying that, yeah, these programs, you would have done better had you hired him. But oh well, and that's fine. And I don't Colorado. I mean, from seeing it up close and personal, there's nothing about me that says that Colorado can't be a destination job. He's set up perfectly, bro. You're in the Big 12. He's going to be the only school in the Big 12 that can truly recruit with a national imprint. Like, nobody else gets that type of exposure in the Big 12. Basically, it's almost like setting up how the ACC was when Clemson was dominant. All you got to do is get through the regular season, and because Clemson was able to recruit with that national imprint, you saw Clemson get better and better and better every year until other teams were able to catch up, till Miami caught up. So right now, I think that the way it's set up, it's the perfect setup. And I'm not saying that he's ducking smoke at all. What I'm saying is, why would you leave somewhere that took a chance on you, right? One thing we do know that Deion he wants to stay until the job is finished, or until he feels like his job is done. I know for a fact he don't feel like his job is done. It's not about following his kids to the NFL or, oh, my kids are gone, I don't have to be there. And Deion got real love for those kids, man. They know Coach Prime. It's not like he's not acting like a CEO. And we've heard of that time and time again, that certain coaches, they move like a CEO. Basically, all they do is coach the coaches, and then they go hide in the weeds. Now, Deion has personal relationships with these guys. Man, look, I'm and it's not what I think, is what I know. I'm watching it. Yeah. I'm seeing him correct. I got a chance to see it myself, and I just think even I'll be going back out there for a practice just to see even more of that, because he's an open book. Now, some guys may not get that access, and I know, but, by the relationship that I've built with him and the way that I'm kind of depicting it is fair to him. And I think that's all it ever took, was for somebody, if you gave him a fair shot. And that's the reason that I kind of felt Colorado in the first place, is because when apples are apples and oranges are oranges, and we talk about football, the man went from 1 win to 4 wins, and it was like, oh my God, he's a failure. All right, so now he's going from 4 wins to 6 wins with 4 games left to go. And now people are like, maybe we should have given him a chance. Maybe we should have listened. Maybe that luggage was Louis, right? So now starting to see like the after effects of what happens when you have proof of concept when it comes to winning football games. So yeah, but as far as Stephen A., to get back to the original point, as far as Stephen A. Smith's comments, I think you can look at it one of 2 ways. Is Colorado talked about when it comes to football in the same breath as a Texas A&M or a Florida State? Probably not. Can Deion Sanders take them there? Absolutely. And I think he's more interested in that than anything else.
That's a strong proclamation, and to be honest, man, I don't think you're wrong. With the name power that is behind Deion Sanders, that helps right there. Recruits want to go to his house, right? He don't really have to go to theirs, because more so is even better. Their parents grew up watching them. So you got dads that's like, hey, man, Prime was my favorite player as a kid. I say it all the time. He's my favorite corner. I only played with the Atlanta Falcons on Madden because Deion Sanders was back there. I needed a dude to compete. I needed somebody to compete with Rod Woodson. My brother would always pick Rod Woodson, and I needed somebody to compete with his kick returns. It was always Deion Sanders. So, yes, that is the big thing that, to me, helps him in all of this. So that's awesome. That's some awesome insight there.
I just want to add this. I pointed to that shoe up there, bro. I got about 100-some pair of tennis shoes in here right now. If I turn my camera around, no exaggeration, bro. That is my most complimented shoe. 1,000. It ain't got nothing to do with me working for On3. It ain't got nothing to do with that. Is the shoe I get the most compliments on. This is a 2010 pair. And I might got one more wear out of these. That's it. I'm glad they're dropping again in February. But yeah, that's the original Air Diamond Turf. But like I said, man, it just goes to show you, like, just to add on to your point of the parents. Like the parents, like for our generation, he was the guy. So, we never thought about Deion Sanders being a coach. We thought about Deion Sanders, and we're forgetting that Deion Sanders was in the media for years and was killing it.
Yep.
So now, like this, in the latest iteration of Coach Prime or Deion Sanders, I think it only lends to him continuing to use his brand to be successful, where he doesn't need the brand, he needs the support. And I think as long as Colorado provides the support, the brand will take care of itself.
Yeah, it's crazy how he's been able to revitalize that Colorado fan base, man. It for years. They've been up and down, but they won a natty, back in the day, Big 8 era. And yeah, you were hoping that they would get back to some sort of prominence because, it's a fun place to go play. Like you said, talk about the altitude and all of that. And I totally understood where there were, and we talked about this in the green room a little bit. I understood where the hesitancy was when it came to teams picking Prime. We don't know very many great Hall of Fame players from the NFL that survived the game of coaching. There's not that many of them. Heck, I can't even think of a single one right now in college football. Maybe college football Hall of Famers and players. Steve Spurrier did it, as a Heisman Trophy winner at Florida and went back and took Florida to some prominence. But you don't get that. That's not common. It's so hard to do. So it's a valid point when you say that. We're chopping up with Phillip Dukes from On 3 and the host of the 5-Star Flex, man. Hey, thanks for pulling up with us, man, and chopping it up about your experience there at the Colorado-Cincinnati game, man. I know it was a blast.
No, absolutely, man. I appreciate it. And thank you for having me, dog.
Always. Make sure you go check out Phillip Dukes over there at the 5-Star Flex at On 3. Link is in the description below for the video of him hanging out in Colorado while he's at the Cincinnati game. So watch that. Go show the man some support. As well as check out the last video I have up here. And you can also subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell notification so you don't miss anything going forward. We'll chop it up soon.